Greetings, and welcome to the Unitarian Church of Los Alamos. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are on your life's journey, you are so welcome here. I'm Sue Watts, your worship associate for the day. Our minister, the Reverend John Cullinan, is away on sabbatical, and so we have gathered together an impressive array of pulpit guests. Today, I am excited to again reintroduce Jenny McCready of Lakewood, Colorado. Jenny just completed seminary at the Meadville Lombard Theological School, as well as an internship with the Jefferson Unitarian Church of Golden, Colorado. Jenny hopes to be an ordained Unitarian Universalist minister by the end of the year. Today, she will be delivering the second of 4 sermons that she will deliver in the course of the sabbatical. She will take next August off because she's getting married, and we think that's a good reason. We look forward to her message encouraging us to be intentional in the process of our becoming. Welcome, Jenny, and welcome back, and welcome to all of you. We're so glad you were able to join us.
You that have spent last silent night in sleep and quiet rest, and joy to see the cheerful light that rises in the east, that rises in the east. Now lift your hearts, your voices, raise your morning tribute, pray. All nature join in grateful praise. Rejoice, give thanks and sing. Rejoice, give thanks and sing. Rejoice, give thanks and sing.
Good morning, my friends in Los Alamos. I'm Jenny McCready, and I am so glad to join you today for worship, all the way here from my home in Lakewood, Colorado. I join you in Los Alamos, and it is my privilege to lead worship for you today and also again in September and October. This morning, as we gather together, I'd like to invite you into a worshipful space, into a time when we come together and we take a breath, a time to be in our bodies and in this moment, to be grateful for our lives and for the gift of being together. May we show up today as our whole selves, the scared parts, the tired parts, the parts of us that worry that we aren't enough. As we bring our whole selves here into this space, we remember that we are perfectly imperfect beings. We are all on a journey of becoming, a journey without a map and with an unknown destination. How brave are we? May we celebrate that courage that allows us to be here now, present to sacred mystery and to each other. In this space, we are called to hold ourselves and those around us in forgiveness and in love. Please join me in lighting your chalice at home if you have one, as I light mine here as a sign of our oneness with other Unitarian Universalists all over the world. Come, let us worship together.
affirmation pulls our congregation together and unites us with the wider Unitarian Universalist congregations and community by defining the core of our shared beliefs. Join us, if you will, in repeating these words of affirmation.
Love is the doctrine of this church, the quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve life in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow in harmony. Thus do we covenant with each and with all.
No words have been written in our virtual book of joys and sorrows, but we all carry within us songs of joy and hope and tears of sorrow and loss. So let's take a moment now, while the candles are burning in our sanctuary, to bring to our minds and hearts whatever we are feeling today. In this time of shared silence, let us lift up the brokenness and the wholeness, the endings and the beginnings, the beauty and the struggle of our lives, knowing that together we can be instruments of peace and hope and love.
Today, I'm blessed to share with you a prayer written by my colleagues, the Reverend John Gibb Millspaugh and the Reverend Sarah Gibb Millspaugh. Please join me in prayer. As we have been blessed, so we bless one another to be a blessing. Breathe in, breathe out. This breath we share with all who breathe. Feel the love of the universe flowing through this community into you and out into the universe again. Let the love of all the universe, your love, flow outward to its height, its depth, to its broad extent. You are more than you know. You are more beloved than you know. Take up what power is yours to create a safe haven, to make of earth a heaven. Give hope to those you encounter that they may know safety from inner and outer harm. Be happy and at peace, healthy and strong, caring and joyful. Be the blessing that you already are. That is enough. Blessed be and amen.
You know, sometimes I still wonder what I'm going to be when I grow up. What about you? Do you still wonder? Or do you wonder about what you will be when you grow up? Our speaker, Jenny McCready, has suggested we listen to this story about a little girl who's wondering the same thing.
There, written and illustrated by Marie-Louise Fitzpatrick. When will I get there? How will I know? Will there be a sign that says, "Here is there"? Will it take long to get there? Till tomorrow? Till next week? Next year? Will I be really big there? As tall as a house? As tall as the trees? Will I never be too small again? Will I wear sensible shoes and say sensible things? Will I never say anything silly again? Never, ever, ever, ever? What color are sunflowers there? Are blueberries still blue? And will there be rainbows? I'll still build snowmen and sandcastles. Definitely. And will I know everything there? Will I know all the secrets? Will I know how to count the stars and how to fix the broken things? Is it a jungle there? Will I find my way through? Will there be dragons? Will there be really fierce? Do you know how to tame dragons? I do. You look them right in the eye and count to 10. Then they just fly away. Can Teddy come too? Can I stop along the way? Can I pick daisies? Is everybody going there? Can I change my mind and go elsewhere instead? I won't go today. I've got lots to do. I'll go there tomorrow. Definitely. The end. Thank you for watching.
reading today is from an excerpt from a book called Women Out of Order by Jean Stevenson Mosner. Jean tells this story. It began when a farmer was hunting for a bird to domesticate. He discovered an eaglet. Happily, he placed the newfound eaglet in his chicken coop along with his chickens. Months passed, and the eaglet grew. The eaglet ate like a chicken, walked like a chicken, and lived like every other fowl in the coop. Although the eagle was the queen of the air, this one pecked around the farmyard each day. Once, as the story goes, a naturalist spotted the eaglet in the chicken coop. The naturalist confronted the farmer and said the eaglet would one day rise up and fly into the heavens. To prove this to the unbelieving farmer, the naturalist tried 3 methods of liberation. First, the well-meaning naturalist placed the eagle on his arm, but she didn't fly. Second, the kind naturalist carried the eaglet to a rooftop, but nothing transpired. Finally, as a last effort, leaving the familiar, the naturalist left the town with the eaglet and climbed a mountain. The eaglet saw a new view, a new perspective, and she gazed towards the sun and the wide horizon. At that moment, she spread her magnificent wings, let out a genuine screech, puffed up, and flew towards the heavens. This morning we heard Yelena sing our beautiful UU hymn, Just as Long as I Have Breath. This is probably my favorite UU hymn, to the point that I've requested that people sing it at my own memorial service. To me, that song kind of acknowledges that life is challenging. We don't always get it right, but we just keep trying. We keep becoming. That's been a big theme for me in my life, is to just keep trying. Say yes. Today we are exploring the idea of becoming. We find hope and we make meaning from noticing the process of our becoming, noticing how even the difficult and painful times grow us into our potential as spiritual beings. Mark Twain said, "Do not complain about growing old. It is a privilege denied to many." Wow, it's so true. I just turned 50 in April, and I've been reminded recently that as difficult as life can be, as strange and unsettling as it is to watch my body and my skin change into that of a middle-aged person, I know that to be alive a half a century is a privilege denied to many. I'm reminded of this every day because my second grade son's biological mother died unexpectedly when she was only 36 years old. Now, I never met Tanya, but the legacy of her relatively short life has ripples that run through our family and through the world. I've been amazed at how much the love and creativity and good humor of someone I never met can live on, not just in her little boy, but in her artwork, her writing, and in the people who loved her. Each of us has the opportunity to leave a legacy of love, of humor, of creativity, of little kind gestures, things that we may have forgotten that we did, but may have touched someone else. We also leave a legacy of our mistakes. We leave a legacy of the times we have hurt one another. We are all weavers of this tapestry that we create together. And each of us has our own individual part to play. I remember in 2017, I was still attending First Universalist Church of Denver, and I had lost 3 people close to me in a short period of time. I asked my minister, Reverend Jeannie Sherrow, why does it have to be so hard? Why do we lose people we love? Why does it sometimes feel like we are drowning in this cascade of loss and sorrow? Now, Reverend Jeannie is a good UU minister, so she didn't pretend to know the answers to these questions. Instead, she gave me a metaphor that has stuck with me. Reverend Jeannie suggested that we are all in the river together, that our ancestors are behind us and they pass us the baton from behind. We do our life's work and then we pass it forward to those who will carry on after we are gone. We're just each of us doing our part, no more, no less. And just like Tanya left us this beautiful little boy, we now need to carry on. Somehow that metaphor helped me feel like everything is happening as it should. Like we don't have to solve global warming and racism all by ourselves. We don't have to be perfect. At the same time, we are helping build something together. Ursula Goodenough is a scientist, an author, and a religious naturalist, and she quotes her father as saying, "Life is like a coral reef. We each leave behind the best, strongest deposit so the reef can grow. But what's important," he says, "is the reef." I find that expansive view of our lives and our legacy kind of reassuring. It reassures me that there's room to make mistakes, that our path to becoming can be windy and rough and full of potholes, but ultimately what's important is the reef, the whole, the legacy of good deeds and kind words, of our connections and our love for each other. Today, we are talking about becoming. It's a rather broad theme, since we're always becoming, whether we like it or not, from our first breath of air as newborn babies until our very last exhale. We never stop becoming. Sometimes in our becoming, we vacillate between a space of curiosity and courage that allows us to go out and expand ourselves. And then we can swing the pendulum the other side to the times that we come back and we bury ourselves under our hurt and our fear. But both those expansive, adventurous, bold times in our lives and the time we spend recovering or moving at a slower pace, both are essential parts in the cycle of our becoming. We need them both. As we age and we live more years in our bodies, we come to realize that after a few of those wrenching dark nights of the soul, the sun does come up again. And each dark night that we survive, we emerge more resilient and stronger. My favorite neuroscientist and psychologist, Dr. Stephen Sosny, uses neuroscience to help us understand ourselves better. And he points out that science has discovered an odd phenomena about our brains, that whatever emotional state we're in, it's hard for us to imagine anything else, like another emotional state, or that we won't always be in that one. We can see this when we observe little kids who think whatever is upsetting them is the end of the world. But as we get older, we realize more that the weather passes, that we will feel better later, that change will come. The sun comes up in the morning, spring comes after winter, and that we usually feel better after a good cry or some food or a nap. We realize that the ups and downs are all part of the process of our becoming. And in our faith tradition, as Unitarian Universalists, we believe that we are the stewards of our lives. We are the creators of our life stories. We believe that we have free will and the power to change outcomes. We believe in a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. And as UUs, we tend to be less likely to follow what a person or an institution tells us to think or do. But we still get caught up in trying to live up to other people's expectations. There's a story about this I really like. It's told by the late Martin Buber, who was an Israeli philosopher. And he used to tell this story about the great Hasidic rabbi Zusia. Buber said that on the rabbi's deathbed, he began to cry uncontrollably. And his students and disciples gathered round and tried to comfort him. And they asked, "Rabbi, why do you weep? You are almost as wise as Moses. You are as hospitable as Abraham. And surely heaven will judge you favorably." Zusia answered them, "Yes, it is true. When I go to heaven, I won't worry so much if God asks me, 'Zusia, why were you not more like Abraham?' Or, 'Zusia, why were you not more like Moses?' Because I know I would be able to answer those questions. After all, I was not given the righteousness of Abraham or the faith of Moses, but I tried to be both hospitable and thoughtful." "Then, Rabbi," they asked, "why do you weep?" The rabbi answered, "What will I say when God asks me, 'Zusia, why were you not more like Zusia?'" That is the question for each of us, isn't it? Jenny, why weren't you more like Jenny? Sue, why weren't you more like Sue? Well, who we are meant to become, and how do we find that balance between finding our own path and meeting the expectations of others? Each of us has our own personality, and it drives us to be more of a conformist or a rebel. And for some people, conformity to social norms is who they are. Not everybody is meant to buck the tide. And now that I'm older, I don't value rebellion for the sake of rebellion. But I do value the pursuit of our own inner callings. Our lives are an opportunity to use our imagination and to be intentional in our becoming. Like that little eaglet in our reading today who just pecked along with the chickens, eating bugs, walking on the ground. Sometimes we need to go to the mountaintop for inspiration to remind us of our potential. That's the beauty in the big mystery, the game of trying things on to figure out who we are and what we will become. Sometimes on these windy roads of our becoming, we might try on conformity. We might do what's expected of us and impresses others, and then we might try something that other people don't resonate with or revere. There's a website called The School of Life, and they posted an essay called Becoming Free. It's called Becoming Free is about when our choices might not meet with general approval. The essay reads, "At the party, we can risk someone not being at all impressed by what we do or regarding our living arrangements as unorthodox or our opinions as odd. But we don't mind too much because we've become free. Our sense of what our life is about is no longer so confused with the notion of meeting the expectations of others." The School of Life is right on. Sometimes it is appropriate to make socially approved choices when they help us align with our core values. And then other times we need to be willing to step outside the norm and risk being misunderstood, or mislabeled, or judged, or othered. But like the School of Life essay reminds us, we don't have to mind too much. That inner compass keeps us motivated and inspired and lets us know that we are becoming more of ourselves. As we get older, we often get less concerned with what people think that needs to look like. We're busy tuning into our passions and our core values, because as we get older, we realize the finite nature of our lives. We're not going to be here forever. We're going to have to pass that baton forward. We develop more loyalty to our inner guidance. But goodness knows, we each have our own idiosyncrasies, our strange passions, our motivations that people just don't get. Not everyone understands the beauty and treasure of owning a pet pig like I do. Not everyone understood my grandpa in a small town in Nebraska when he insisted on keeping his stucco house painted neon green. And the older he got, the less he cared what anybody thought about that neon green house on North Main Street. Sometimes we let our freak flags fly, and other times we keep our quirks to ourselves. But it's good practice to love ourselves enough to be curious about what inspires us, to be intentional about which passions we pursue. It's good practice because when it comes to swimming upstream for our core values and convictions, we better love ourselves enough to endure the judgment of other people. We have a culture war going on in our country, and if we're going to stand up for our UU values, we have to be ready to imagine something better and to stand behind that vision. Dr. Stosny also talks about our core values. He claims each of us operates from some very basic priorities, whether we realize it or not. As Unitarian Universalists, we're pretty intentional. We articulate our core values of fairness, freedom, equality, and interdependence. We strive to let our core values guide our becoming. Then we might find ourselves working within a system, or we might find ourselves being the ones that other people call weird, or stupid, or oversensitive, or dangerous. As we're becoming, are we willing to be called weird, or stupid, or oversensitive, or dangerous? Definitely it's not easy, but as we get older, we become more comfortable generally with being the weird one. I now have no problem saying water, no straw to the server in a restaurant. I don't care what people think anymore. But it gets harder when we put on our Black Lives Matter t-shirt and go out into public, and we know that there are people with dangerous, hateful ways of being. And yet it's important that we be true to ourselves and our core values. We have this opportunity to leave our mark on the world like the coral reef, and to remember that what's important is the reef. As we move on into our week, into the hot summertime, may we carry with us a memory to remember to be like Tanya, the woman I never met, whose love and kindness have forever changed my family and this world. May we intentionally channel our becoming into the most loving and compassionate, strong, confident direction possible. Because we are going to keep changing. So we may as well be intentional about how we change, which direction we go, and what we pass on to the next generation. I'd like to leave you this morning with a prayer by the White UU minister, Amanda Poppy. Amanda writes, "Spirit of life and love, come to me in this moment. Wrap around the fullness of me, the nowness of me, the me-ness of me. Let me breathe in who I am right now. Wrap around the fullness of me and leave room. Leave room for the rest of me, the me I haven't yet discovered, the me I am becoming. Let me breathe in who I am going to be. Spirit of life and love, stay with me as I become." Blessed be, and may it be so.
Thanks, Jenny, for your gentle thoughts about the importance of continuing to become. Know that our happy thoughts and good wishes will flow from us to you and Jason as you celebrate your wedding. Next week, our pulpit guest will be our own Tina Tewo, our Director of Lifespan Religious Exploration. She'll be exploring the differences a simple pause can make in our personal as well as our communal and collective lives. If you would like to gather with others in the sanctuary to watch the service together on the big screen, be sure to reserve one of the 50 places that are still available by visiting the church website and registering through the link that you will find there. Or you can contact the church office. Services will continue to be available online as well. Please note that both the online and the in-person services begin at 10:30 a.m., a change from our previous time. We will need 4 volunteers to help with the in-person Sunday morning services. If you're willing to help, please sign up on the church website. If this is your first time with us, we invite you to sign our virtual guest book. Everyone is reminded that you can submit your personal joys and sorrows for our virtual candle lighting ceremony as well. Since our minister, John Cullinan, will be on sabbatical until November 1st, we invite you to send your questions and observations and comments to Susanna No in our church office. The links for doing all of these things are listed in the service notes below. For information on upcoming events and other ways to connect, check our Facebook pages or our email announcements. Thanks for being with us today. Our offering gives us a chance to share some of the gifts we have received with the wider world. During the month of July, 100% of our offering will be given to the Tewo Women United. This is a multicultural, multiracial organization founded and led by Native women of the pueblos of northern New Mexico. Together, they support their sisters through programs that are focused on environmental health and justice, Indigenous women's health and reproductive justice, and women's leadership and economic freedom. Please use the Givelify app on your mobile devices or the link in the service notes below to make your direct donation. May what you give bring you much joy.
As we come to the end of our worship service this morning and our time together thinking about becoming, may we be glad for the privilege of another day of life. Even with aches and pains and frustrations and uncertainties, regrets, insomnia, health problems, everything that comes with this life, may we still be grateful that we have another day and another opportunity to draw breath, another sunrise, and another chance to become who we really are. To leave a legacy in this world that says, yeah, okay, I was scared. I didn't have all the answers. I didn't know exactly where I was going. Sometimes I hurt people and made mistakes. But I kept on saying yes. I kept becoming more of who I am and more compassionate and loving and welcoming to the people around me. If we can leave this service, if we can leave our lives and be able to say that, yeah, I said yes, I kept becoming, I kept moving in the right direction. That's enough. That's good enough. We're doing okay. As I leave you today, remember to go forth, to be blessed, and to be a blessing. Amen.